We're back now with Rachel Crooks, Samantha Holvey, and Jessica Leeds. All three have accused President Trump of sexual misconduct. He has denied the claims, including literally just moments ago. Your reaction to what we just heard, Rachel, with these claims are false, totally disputed by eyewitnesses, absurd, and that they're politically motivated. You are a Democrat. You admit to being a Democrat,
Yeah.
but was it a matter of politics, you're coming forward?
No, I mean, to me, it was very matter of fact. It started when I read Temple Taggart's account, because that was the first time I had, I guess, learned of someone else that had been in my situation. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it wasn't just me. And I felt sort of like relief at that. And then, you know, a few months later, the tape comes out. I hear him bragging about it. It's just...
And now, of course, we hear Juliette Huddy,
Yeah.
who worked, as I did, at the Fox News Channel for some dozen years, with a very similar story to your own. Your past year, I'm sure this isn't the first time you've been accused of being a political operative and basically generating a false story to try to take him down.
Yeah, no. But I can't imagine anyone wanting to come into the spotlight about this. I mean, seriously, I would much rather be of public interest for something great I accomplished, not something negative that happened to me. So, I mean, I think that's just crazy. And I mean, the things that happened to us spanned decades, states, you know, all over. Like, what could we possibly, have we, you know, colluded to come up with these tales that all sound so eerily similar?
What about it, Jessica? Because speaking of spanning decades, you say this happened how many decades ago, your incident with him?
It was in the late 70s.
On an airplane?
On an airplane.
Tell us what you say happened.
Well, I worked as a traveling salesperson, and at that time, women in business on the road were very few. And I was flying back either from Dallas or from Atlanta, I don't remember. But I was on the plane, and the stewardess came down the aisle, and she looked at me and she said, "Would you like to come up to first class?" Yes, I'd be glad to. So up I went, and the gentleman sitting, and it was a bulkhead seat, and the gentleman sitting at the window, I sat down and he introduced himself as Donald Trump. Now, I didn't know Donald Trump, the name, Trump name, because I was not working out of New York City. I lived up in Connecticut. So the name meant nothing to me. But they served a meal, and after the meal was cleared, all of a sudden, he was all over me, kissing and groping and kissing. And believe me, my memory of it was that nothing was said. He didn't say, "Oh, by the way," or I didn't go eek or help or whatever. It was just this silent groping going on. And I do remember at one point, out of my side eye, thinking, well, that guy sitting across the aisle, why doesn't he come to my defense? Where's the stewardess? You know, somebody. But then when his hand started going up my skirt, I'm not a small person. I managed to wiggle out and stand up, grab my purse, and I went to the back of the airplane. I stayed at the back of the airplane until we landed, and everybody was off because I did not want to take the chance of running into him at all. That was my story. Now, I didn't tell anybody then. I didn't complain to the airlines. I didn't tell my boss. I just thought, oh, that's some creep on the airplane. 3 years later, I moved to New York City. I got a job with the Humane Society of New York on 59th Street, and we were going to have a fundraising gala at Saks Fifth Avenue. And Saks Fifth Avenue was going to have all the designers, and I was in charge of handing out the table assignments. Well, it was a sparkling New York night. It really was. I got to meet Bill Blass. I got to meet Oscar de la Renta. I got to meet Mary McFadden. I got to meet Gloria Vanderbilt, and it was just wonderful. And then up to the table comes Donald Trump and his first wife, and she was very pregnant at that point. Now, at that point, I'd been in the city long enough to be reading about Trump and the Trump family and some of their stories and some of the gossip that was going around. So I knew and I recognized him immediately as the guy on the airplane. But, you know, it's like, but he stands there as I'm handing him his table assignment and he says, I remember you. You were that woman from the airplane. He called me the worst name ever.
Wait a minute, there was a descriptor
Yes.
before a woman?
Yes, yes.
Can you give us a hint?
It's the worst one. It really is. And
You don't want to say it out
No,
loud, but does it begin with a C?
yes, yes. And the room cleared. I mean, it was like everybody just sort of disappeared into the.
Does it end with T?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just making sure we're all on the same page.
It was shocking. It was like a bucket of cold water being thrown over me. And he took his table assignment and he went on and I went home. And then in 2015 into 16, when I realized that Trump was actually going to run for president, that he actually was going to do it this time, I started telling everybody my story. I told my family. I told my friends. I told my neighbors. I told my book club. I told everybody.
Was it a matter of politics? I mean, are you a Democrat
I wanted
who...
people to know what kind of person that Trump really is. And, you know, what a pervert he is. He really is.
But let me just ask you, are you a Democrat?
Yes, yes.
And was it a matter of trying to stop him from ascending to the presidency?
I don't think I thought I had that kind of power, but I really wanted people to know who he is and why he is. And I think his core supporters do know. I mean, I think they recognize, but he's their dog, so they're going to stick with their dog.
Because he's got the right team jersey on.
Right, right.
Which is what the Roy Moore accusers believe is happening in Alabama right now. I have so much more I have to get to with the ladies. We have to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.